Hey guys! Thanks for tuning in.
My name's Kylene and I'm joined by the lovely Jaala and Taylor, and today we're just gonna have a little chit chat about specifically prayer, and we'll just see where the conversation takes us. How long have you... Oh my gosh, what a fitting conversation! When did you join church? When did you start coming to church? When was the first time?
Yes, Kylene!
My cookie!
So, well, the first time I came to church was the last night of Intensifier in 2018.
Wow, that's so long.
By the end of April, I started coming to youth.
When did I meet you for the first time and creep you out? Why am I
Was that
excited
at the
about
bar?
that? Yeah!
Yeah.
What was that?
I can't remember when that was, but we're coming back from the beach.
Yes,
and-
you were!
Yes. And so it was me,
Yeah.
Taylor. Was it just Glennis? Was it just us two?
Good.
Yeah. So they're like,
You knew where we lived.
we'll just call Kylene to drop us off, because, like, that's normal. And I know that now.
But back then, this was
Back
weird.
then it was like, I don't have another way to get home. Please drop me.
Sounds
I
good.
don't really care. But yeah, so then we got in the car. And then you were dropping me off, and you knew everything about me already. I had no idea who you were. It surprised me. But then, because they would talk about you a lot as well.
It's two ways.
Dun, dun, dun.
Two ways.
We knew of you, so it wasn't that.
Okay, so
Like,
it's not too,
yeah.
too creepy.
No.
Just a little bit. Okay, now let us reveal why I knew that kind of stuff.
Because I talked about her all the time.
You literally did, like, all the time.
I think all of us talked about her all the time. Either if we had issues with, so you know all of that.
Okay.
Why did you talk about Jaala so much? Tell me the story. Do you know the story?
I thought I did, but now that you keep asking, I'm like, do I?
So, the reason I spoke about Jaala to you was because, well, we had SMS in Kasula. So SMS is like a little 1-week Bible study that we would do at school during our lunch break or whatever. One of the first times, but for some reason I was talking or something at this SMS, and Jaala was in it, and you and Sean came to it.
Oh, wow!
Yeah. And then they never came back to an SMS again.
I don't think that's true. I think, no.
What year was this?
2000,
We're trying to give them a timeline.
2000,
2000?
2016. So I would talk to you just because, like, she was still one of my friends, but we weren't as close as we are now, but we were still acquaintances, friends. And so I did want her to come to know Jesus and all of that. And being her friend, like, we talk about things like what's going on in our lives and everything. And me being a Christian obviously wants to say, oh, like, prayer help, or reading the Bible. Yeah, knowing what would be good for her, but just not knowing how to say that and not like a Jesus thing. So that's why I talked about her.
Why Jaala? Why'd you pick Jaala of all people in your grade?
Just because she was one of my friends, and so in high school, plenty of my friends were Christian. Jaala was one that wasn't. Like when you know something, it's like almost like you have like a secret or something, and you have the secret to life, and so someone else is like, oh, this, but like this, and it's just like, but I have this secret, but I don't know how to tell you without like creeping or freaking you out, you know. That's what like the first year was, I think. And then like in 2017, when something really big happened in our year, like it was even more then, because like especially for Jaala, like as her friends, there's only so much that we can do to comfort or to just be there for her. There's almost only so much that we can do. Yeah, but just knowing you have that, and you're like, I just wish I could just give it to you. Just take it.
Do you think that putting all of your, like, energy, your time, your prayer time, your mental space, emotional space, mentoring time into investing into this one girl to come to youth or to come to church, do you think that you wasted your evangelistic capacity by not also putting that much effort into everyone else in your grade?
So in the time, I was like probably more frustrated and like wish I could do more. But yeah, like looking back now, like even if it took like all my effort and all my time praying and all my mentoring space, like whatever, like it would still be worth it if she came to know. Do you think?
How does that make you feel, Jaala?
I think that's really humbling, yeah, because prayer can be really tedious and like just prayer life in general, yeah, I know that it can get easy to like kind of just push aside sometimes, but then to know that like for 2 years there were people praying for me, like that's wow.
So what were you like in that 2016-2018 period?
It wasn't an easy time. 2016 was year 10, and so like that was all good, it was smooth, yeah. And then 2017 was when like things got really shaky. So I lost someone really close to me, but it wasn't just me that impacted, it was like our whole grade. And so then after that, 2018 for me looked like trying to find like that balance and routine that I had in 2016 when things were going good. But after a shake-up like that, like that's hard to find again. But me being as driven as I am, I tried to do it all myself, and yeah, that was not easy.
I know that you as a human are very, as you said, driven. And I know that like that incident not necessarily pushed you into church and Christianity, but I know that was kind of like a contributing factor to getting you there. So what was like the mental journey from I'm good to I need to seek out a church?
Mm-hmm. Like as I said, 2018 was mostly me trying to fix myself and pull myself out of a place where I really couldn't do that myself, and so realizing that I couldn't do that myself, and like family helped, friends helped, but there's only so much, like as you said, there's only so much that friends and family can do from outside. And so like I'd been to SMS and stuff and like knew of like how Taylor and Twilla and like Robin and everyone, how the Jesus stuff worked for them. And so I'd always had known of Jesus and like that kind of stuff, but then it wasn't until after that happened and after I realized this wasn't something that I could fix myself, I was like, why not give it a try, like legit.
Did you ask her about identifier things?
Yes. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
It was Easter time, 2018. Yes. Easter time, 2018. And I just remember, like, I think you were messaging me, like, me and my family on holiday, like, somewhere. And you were messaging me about, like, some Christian thing or some dream you had or whatever.
Probably.
And, yeah, and then, yeah, I think towards the end of the conversation, you're just like, so, like, can I come to church with you or something? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, intensifier is 2 weeks away. And I'm like, wait, no, that should not be our first time at church. And then I'm like, well, it could be really good. So I was having this mental conflict like the whole 2 minutes before I replied. So yeah, and then 2 weeks later, I think it was like right the day of we were gonna take you, and we were at KFC, and me and Liz were trying to like prepare her for what was gonna happen. So we're like, don't freak out. Like some people like may fall and some may scream and stuff. But it's completely fine. Don't worry.
So normal.
God is like
okay.
so
It was so much worse than that. So before this I had not been to church at all. So this was my very first time, and which I also think was like a really wow moment because like it could have just been a normal Sunday weekend, but this was the last night of Intensifier weekend.
too. Yes.
And then, you know, if you have a friend that hasn't been to church before, Pentecostal church, it can be very different for that friend. And so we were at KFC and they were trying to like fill me in on what kind of happens. And I'm going to say it was mostly Lizzie, so shout out to Lizzie.
She was great.
She was amazing. So they were pretty much telling me like, yeah, people start screaming and they fall down and they're crying and stuff. I'm like, what? I think that also kind of shows like what point I was at, like emotionally, mentally, to just be like, okay, I can hear that. That sounds whack, but I don't know what else to do, so I'm gonna go for it anyways.
Right.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
cool because like we were saying all this stuff and you're like, but that's what I want. Like I want something like I want God to show up. Like it was just cool to be like, no matter what we said, she was like, but yeah, I want that. And we're like, okay, fine.
Say so. Why did you approach them of all people for like this spiritual encounter?
I guess because just seeing how they were and knowing that they were Christian and not just like face value Christians, Sunday Christians, like they would like run SMS, just like a bunch of extra things that I know they didn't have to do, but they did anyway. Like it showed me that like it was more than just a surface level kind of faith. I don't know that, but like to me, like I saw that there was more to it, and if I had questions and stuff, they were safe people that I could just like, this might be a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it anyways, and they would never respond in a like a, oh, it means this, like they weren't ever rude or anything about it, like they would just help.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was after Intensify that you started like becoming more regular at church as well?
Intensify. So my family wasn't completely on board with the whole church thing, so I was surprised that they even said yes to Intensify. But because it was like an event, it was like this one-time thing, then they were more lenient, and especially with everything that happened, they're like, yeah, okay. And so then it wasn't until a couple weeks later that I kind of had the courage to be like, yeah, they also do this thing called youth. It sounds really cool. And I tried to make it sound like super
Religious.
yeah. I was like, yeah, they just hang out, food and stuff. Yeah. And they said yes. So it was the end of April that I started, was it? Might have been the start of May that I started regularly coming to youth. Yeah. And then I stayed.
Yay, now you're here. Look at you go. How does that make you feel?
Wow, my prayers answered.
Wow.
Yeah, I think like, yeah, just that moment when she messaged me, to me wasn't like my answered prayer, like that's when it hit. And like I remember it because like yeah, it was at the holiday house and my parents were out, like they were having a date night, and so I was just at home and the kids were already asleep. Not my kids, my siblings. And so it was just me in the house pretty much, and like yeah, I can't remember, like I was probably either jumping or crying, I can't remember what happened, but I just remember like yeah, that moment was when like yeah, like my prayer has been answered. And yeah, I had like, you know, the doubt or whatever come in after, like oh, but like what if Intensify scares her away from church, like what if it's only for like this season because like she really needs it now and then she walks away. Like I did have that, but I still think like at that moment I knew that like at least something was happening. But yeah, and then coming after Intensify and talking to her and like how she found it and everything, and like how she didn't find it weird or anything, like yeah, it's just like wow, prayers answered, cool.
On the topic of like doubt and stuff, how did you keep praying for the 2 years? Were you ever discouraged or like give up or felt like giving up?
Yeah, definitely, especially the first year. Just because like it seemed like the first year 2016, just because it seemed like she was happy, like, and so I'm like, oh, like do I even need to pray for her, like it's just not gonna do anything. And yeah, and she was very skeptical and very kind of, she was very opinionated during that season.
It's not too good now.
Yeah, it was just wow, I see two different Jaalas in my head.
Pre post Christ?
Yeah.
Were you that different?
I just saw her as very cold and very like upfront, but I feel like now you're
She's
not
just
like
upfront,
that.
not
Yeah.
anymore.
So like anything, if I would say something or like whatever, like I just feel like she wasn't as open, so it would just get shut down or whatever. Like not saying she ever shut me down. I don't think, I can't remember. Probably not. I guess like the second year when like everything happened, then I just feel like people in a tragedy or whatever, when they go through something big, they are in a more spiritually open place anyway. So yeah, like I remember even our whole year got together and prayed during this season, and like yeah, that would not have happened without this like this. So yeah, and so when that all happened, that's when I got more like I guess fervent in my prayers, and yeah, like I said before, like I have this secret and I just want to give it to her, because I know like even though she tried to put up this front of like I'm okay, like I can do it by myself, like that she's struggling, and so but you just like what can you do? And so I was at that, but I'm like God, you can do it, I believe in you. And yes, I think that's that kept me going.
Yeah.
Was that fervency.
How do you feel knowing that they prayed for you for 2 years?
Yeah, I just think that hearing that now and hearing that you guys started praying in 2016 before things like went bad and before it was obvious that like I needed Jesus, and that you were obedient to that even if it wasn't obvious why you needed to be praying for me. Yeah, that's wow. Like, cause I feel like we always look for reasons and proof, like why do I need to pray for this person, what's the need there, and I know like 2016 was I wouldn't say it was a bad year for me, but then to hear that you guys like started praying then, like yeah, wow, that's cool.
What do you think you learned from praying for 2 years?
I think I will definitely learn patience. Like I remember me and Twilla, like for a good year, there was like if we would get words or anything from pastors or whatever, it would always be patience, and we'd be like, probably the complete opposite of what patience means, but whatever. And yeah, I also learned, cause like I don't know, like I kind of sort of grew up Christian in like I'm in my teen years I grew up Christian. My hand hurts. Yeah, my teen years I grew up Christian. So yeah, I guess knowing that God is like cool, he's miraculous, like he can yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah, he can do anything. So I knew that, but I don't think it had hit me yet. And so coming out of that period, like I honestly don't know what kept me going, like praying for 2 years. I don't. Jesus. Like now I guess I have a new hope in that, because before I didn't really think people could change. I think like yeah, I may have said it or whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just felt like I wasn't like I didn't actually believe that. Like I would have said it, you know, that's a Christian thing to say. Like yeah, people can change or whatever. But I don't think I actually believed it until Jaala happened. So yes, that me. So now I have a new hope in that, yeah, God is real, people can change. And
I have a question to both of you guys. How do you think this or you guys or whatever would have been different if that prayer was answered like immediately? Like you were praying for like a week in 2016 and then she was saved. 2017
would have been very different, I think. Yeah, like if you had become, like if you knew Jesus in 2016, like I feel like either 2016 would have been a very like test of your faith and like would have been like, wow, Jesus, you helped me through this, or it would have been like, oh my gosh, Jesus, you did this, and like would have completely turned you off Christianity. And then I think for me, I wouldn't have learned as much as I, like especially patience, I would not have learned. Yeah, but in the moment, I'm like.
So I think if I had genuinely come to know Jesus 2016 before everything happened, I don't think it would have been a very deep or genuine faith or trust in God. I think because like I said, for me that year, like it was alright, it was good, but I would have kind of just went, oh yeah, I've got Jesus, but like I'm the man. Like that would have still been my reaction. Reflecting on it now, I think I can be very driven and do things myself. So going through 2017 by myself, it tested me first, and I feel like it was an opportunity for me to look at like, hello, my own strength only gets me so far. And so yeah, then that made me coming to know Jesus even more impactful, because I was able to see like how everything was to a larger extent without him. I don't think it would have turned into a thing where I would have blamed God and stuff, because I knew of God and of Jesus, and so when all of that stuff went down, I remember like with everything that happened, there was enough there for me to be like, God, why did you do this, and put the blame on him. But I remember like my first response, even though I didn't fully know who Jesus was to me, it was, my first response was still that I know it's not your fault and I'm going to trust you through it anyways. And that was before I fully knew Jesus. But then even then, I kind of squashed that and put it aside and tried to do it myself. That was necessary. Yeah.
So as you were the prayer, not the prayer, the person doing the praying, prayer, what do you think the power of waiting in prayer is? Like, why though? Why wait so long?
It might be different for every person, because I think God wants to teach us all, and that might be different for every person. But I think some of the main ones, well, for me it was patience, and so that might be for some people, but also trusting God was a big one, I think, as well, just with the whole like, oh, can people actually change? Or so I think trusting in God is also a big one. Like, are you going, even if things may turn completely like the wrong way, like I remember when everything first happened, like Jaala started going to like psychics and stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going completely the wrong way. Like, God, are you even listening to me? Yeah, so even though it may feel like it's going completely the wrong way, still choosing to pray. And even when it does physically hurt you, because it's like, like I keep saying, you have this secret, but you can't force it down someone. Like, someone has to actually grab it.
Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating about like the weight, and like, just praying in general is like, you, or evangelism or whatever, like that's what's so frustrating, is you can't force it. Oh, why'd you make free will, God?
This is like pent up anger.
What was I even saying?
I don't remember, you just got really angry.
Even though it may feel like it's going completely wrong, and yet you still continue to trust God. Like I said, I think that says a lot. And like, I feel like it would mean a lot to God as well. Like, even though like you're praying or whatever, and even though it may get worse, but you still choose to go to God. And like, I think that, like, for me, it was a very trusting God. And like I don't know how to deal with this. Like, I don't know what, like, I don't obviously want to shut her down, because I know she's going through a lot. But like, how do you do that? But I would not have learnt like the skills I have, I guess, and I would not have learnt the trusting in God. I would not have learnt the patience, and I think it's also sparked a little bit of passion as well, like, as you can see. It's frustrating, but it's like it's a good frustration, that it's like, and it causes you to think creatively, because you actually can't force someone.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's like, it causes you to think, and like, how do I get them to see like the beauty of what you have, but not force it? So it's cool. It hurts in the moment, like, it sucks, but
In
coming out of
retrospect.
it. Yeah.
In retrospect. You not necessarily might not have an answer for this, but okay. As like the recipient of that 2-year wait, like, do you have any thoughts or insights into the power of waiting for prayer?
As the subject of prayer. yeah, there's just a lot of gratefulness towards that because, yeah, I can see it wasn't easy to do. But like, really the persistence in that, even when like it feels like you've hit a wall, just choosing to continue to pray anyways, and reflecting. I was probably difficult, especially like in the 2017 year, because it went from like me trying to fix things myself to like I would go to other sources and distractions before I got to the place where I was like, okay, I need Jesus. So yeah, as a Christian now and knowing what it is to pray, like seeing that unfold, I can understand how that could have been discouraging. But it's worth it.
But I think it's a cool story that like you can say you've been through it all. Like, because what's his name? Solomon. Yeah, he went through it all, as he says, and like at the end, like all he can say is like Jesus, whatever. So I think for you, like to go through in that year, to like go through, try to do it yourself, and try to do this and try to do that, to try to fill that void, and like you to only come out and say like, yeah, Jesus is the only way. I think that's a cool story.
So I think those are all the questions that I have for you guys. Are a prayer. Any other concluding thoughts?
Don't stop believing.
Hold on to that.
Oh, you're answering the question through the song. Got it.
Oh. I think that just a cool little revelation I got from hearing all this and your side of things was that before hearing all this, I kind of saw it as, oh yeah, you were the person that got me to church. Like, you knew about the intense fire stuff, you drove me there, like you got me into church. But then hearing all of this, like it wasn't just you physically got me to church, like it was through prayer and like your persistence and faith that I got to church as well. So yeah, prayer is powerful.
Well, thank you for tuning in to our, I don't know what this is called. Thank you so much, Jaala and Taylor, for sharing a little bit about your story. Hopefully it's been an encouragement to you guys about the power of prayer, and that sometimes it takes a little bit of time and you may get a little frustrated. But that's okay. So we'll see you guys next time.
Bye!
Oh no.